طيب بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters, dear viewers, listeners, anybody who's watching, listening this. Today we've got a special show on the Sunni discourse or Sunnah discourse. I'm still saying Sunni because of the Sunni defense, but it's done. The name is changed. It's called now Sunnah discourse. With me is a brother, mashallah, who I've got to know a while ago. A young brother who studies in the university, very intelligent brother, who studies the Arabic language and Islamic sciences in university. He is he's from Lebanon, but he's of Palestinian origin. Born Sunni, and what I describe, and I'm going to let him talk very soon, I describe the type of this brother as those victims of Rafidism, victims of Tashayyu, of these poor shubuhat of the Rafida all around the net, which from the surface sometimes, like many shubuhat, even the most batil religion, even Christianity sometimes, even Qadiani sometimes, seemingly from the surface it looks like a good argument. Some people fall for it. But there's two types of people. As an ex-Shia, I met throughout my life two types of people who fall for Tashayyu or false ideologies and religions. Number one, those who fall for it and become more extreme and more extreme. Khalas, that's it. For the rest of their life, they become even worse. They become more extreme. Then there's those, subhanallah, they fall for it, but subhanallah, there's khair in them. I have a very good friend, Iraqi brother here in London. I met many Akshiyas in London here, Iraqis and Iranians. He loved the Quran. He loved Tawheed and calling upon Allah. It was clear-cut case that eventually he will leave Tashayyu. It was a clear-cut case. It was you don't need to have ilm al-ghayb to see it. And I consider this brother as one of those who, at a stage of his life, he fell for the propaganda of the da'wah, the propaganda of the Imamites, Ahl al-Bayt, Madhab Ahl al-Bayt, loving Ahl al-Bayt, these khurafat and 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧, in the name of Ahl al-Bayt, of course. Ahl al-Bayt themselves, alayhim as-salam, we love them. These khurafat and 𝗧𝗪𝗧𝗧𝗧 and shirkiyat that they propagate in the name of Ahl al-Bayt. So yes, now after this introduction, a young brother studies in university. He was raised in Germany and speaks, mashallah, English, Arabic, German, and so on and so forth. And yes, brother Nurredin, right? Nurredin. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, Sheikh Nurredin, you tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us.
First of all, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahabatihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. First of all, it's a pleasure for me to talk with Ibn Hussein, as also known as Hassan Shimrani. Barakallahu feekum, ikhwan.
Jazakallah khair.
Jazakallah khair. First thing is, Ibn Hussein or the brother Hassan Shimrani said, I was born in the Sunni family. It's just a normal thing. I was born in a Sunni family.
Mm-hmm.
But I fall into the Tashayyu because of some of the Shias brings me shubuhat.
Mm-hmm.
To give you
example?
Example now. To give you an example, they come with the 𝗙𝗥, the most popular thing. 𝗙𝗥.
The deen 𝗙𝗥. Yes, the deen is 𝗙𝗥. خلاصة الدين in 𝗙𝗥, yes.
𝗙𝗥, subhanallah. But it's like that, wallahi, in the Tashayyu, in my eyes, if 𝗙𝗥 is the base of the Tashayyu. My eyes.
One of the, yes. And their arguments, true.
How I felt the Tashayyu. And after they sent me the hadith where Fatima alayhi salam said, غضبت حاجة Abu Bakr, and so and so and so, I was like, wow, Abu Bakr is not a good man at all. And from the subhanallah, Allahu Akbar, I was young and jahil and dumb. Today I reject it to become a Shia, but everyone has to make experience from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to find the right way. And the second thing was from the book Musannaf ibn Abi Shayba, where Umar radiallahu anhu, where they say he said to Fatima, I will burn your house, and everything like that.
Yeah.
Nowadays,
And they add to the Bollywood story. They
yes,
slept her, a whole gang of men slept her, 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗡𝗦, burned the house, didn't burn the house, killed her, unborn, then she held the khutbah for half an hour. خرافات فوق الخرافات, yes.
Wallahi, it's not only khurafat, it's like a fairy tale, it's like Harry Potter in my eyes.
I always say, if Bollywood registers, if they find out about this, they want to make this movie, or they did this movie, whatever, The Lady of Heaven. You see, so similarities with Catholicism, The Lady of Heaven, Mary, Fatima, calling upon Mary, calling upon Fatima, all the same khurafat. Yeah.
No. And like I said, my juhl made me become Shia because of the shubuhat. The shubuhat about Aisha alayhi salam, about Hafs, or about these people who hate them, they bring it shubuhat, ضعيف ahadith or munqati'at or anything like that to bring me into the tashayyu.
Okay. Okay, Bismillah, go on.
After I became Shia, I was like, now I'm on the right way. And it was, wallahi, the horrible time of my life. Wallahi.
Okay, so that we follow, 1 second. So you are Palestinian by origin. You were born in Lebanon, right? I think in a refugee camp in Lebanon?
No.
Or like normal in Lebanon? Or was it a refugee camp like many Palestinians?
No. I was born in Germany, but
you were born in
No. But I lived in Palestinian a long time, a really long time.
You lived in Palestine or you lived in Lebanon?
In Palestine. But
subhanAllah. Where in Palestine? Where in Palestine?
In Gaza.
Oh, you're Gaza. You're from Gaza.
No.
Oh yeah, you taught me. But yes, subhanAllah. Look, mashallah. You're from Gaza.
My grandfathers are from Lebanon. That's why the Shia is in our family.
Aha. Oh, so you do have roots even in Lebanon. Okay. I thought that you are because Hani, brother Hani, I don't know if you know brother Hani from who wrote tons of articles for Twelver Shiism, and yeah, he made videos for. He's Aslan. I'm talking about him as if he's a contributor. He's the main man who started this. Hani is Palestinian. Hani is Palestinian. Yeah, he's Palestinian, and he was just raised in Lebanon, like many Palestinians. Here in London as well, I have many Palestinian friends who were raised in Lebanese, mostly in refugee camps. But you're different. You do have roots in Palestine and in Lebanon. No. You were born in Germany, but you lived for a while there in Gaza. Someone who's a native, it's possible for him to live there. And okay, tell us. And mashallah, because you dropped some Arabic words some people might not understand. You said that they bring ضعيف narrations. Okay, most people I think understand ضعيف, but منقطع, like disconnected narrations. Basically, in tashayyu, the da'wah is based on either they bring something sahih, like an ayah from the Quran, as I always say, or authentic narrations, but they take it out of context, out of the siyaq. Yeah, they superimpose their understanding on ayats and incidents like Ghadir and whatnot, or they bring straight out fabrications and weak stuff, 𝗃𝗃𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗏 and stuff like that. But you like because there's similarities between my story and your story. I'm Iranian, of Persian. My ethnicity is Persian, and I was born Shia, but I was also exposed to this da'wah in the West because my family, except from my father's side, they are not really religious. You, as someone who was Sunni born, and most of your family is in Gaza right now. Okay, what was it? What was it that you saw? Was it mainly online? Was it a local mosque, a local da'wah center of them? Or was it like online stuff and friends who told you, look at this, look at Fadak, look at Jamal, and the fitna of the Battle of Jamal, Battle of Siffin? All this, this is the oxygen, So what was it? What was it that you were overwhelmed? You said like, oh, where did it start?
No, my uncle is actually Shia. And after
you have Shia.
My uncle is Shia. When I was a young boy, 12, 13, 14, every time my parents told me the Shia are bad people, the Shia make tatbih, the Shia make Muslim, the Shia curse the Sahaba, everything. I only heard bad things about the Shia. But after I knew my uncle, how he told me about the Tashayyu', and he showed me a hadith in Bukhari where Fatima say 𝗦𝗦𝗕𝗦𝗕𝗦𝗕 and where Umar radiallahu anhu, at the Thursday thing, where Umar said حسبنا كتاب الله, everything like that.
Yeah.
Something.
All the standard shubuhat. Yeah.
All this and that. And as a kid, you are 12 or 30 years old, you don't ask. You say, yes, my uncle's right, he would never lie to me. But nah, he lied. He never told me the truth about that. And after I learned about the Tashayyu', I tried to find Shia friends. I was on a YouTube channel, it's called 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗟𝗢𝗪 2009 in Germany, from a big Shia scholar, his name is 𝗃𝗢𝗃𝗧𝗏. And I asked him, can you help me about the Hussein, and everything? He said, yes, of course, I can put you in the group, in the WhatsApp group full of Shia. And then the trouble begins. Shubuhat, over da'if, over munqati', everything, and they feed you with live narrations or shubuhat that you will not ask about them. You will think,
SubhanAllah, it enters your heart. It enters your heart, isn't it? Like Ibn al-Qayyim says, it's like a sponge. Shubhat are like a sponge. It's most people, even many intelligent people, they suck it all up like this, and then it's in your heart. And sometimes, yeah, okay.
That's the problem, akhi. And now, look, the Shia, I know, they are like they're lions. They go to the weak people and attack them and take them to the Tashayyu' because they have a weak iman, weak knowledge.
You mean their callers to Jahannam are like hyenas, rather, not like lions. They're like hyenas. Not all Shias, of course. Many of them, we consider them victims, aslan, to begin with. I personally strongly believe that most Shias are victims of the Tashayyu'. And they can believe what they want. In Islam, we don't shove our belief in your mouth. We call to what we believe is the truth, and we refute what is false. And we believe Shias are victims of the Tashayyu'. So not all of them are evil, certainly not. But what you mean with they're like hyenas, you mean they're propagandists, they're du'at, they're propagandists, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And this is that's how I started the Tashayyu'. And I became a Shia with 16 years old. Make the Shia Shahada.
Okay. All right.
Ali Waliullah and something like that. And I regret it. Allah, I regret it.
Okay, I've got a question. Because you how long did you live in Gaza?
I lived in Gaza a couple of months.
So Okay, all right. I lived for some while in Jordan, living like just under a year, like you lived just under a year in Gaza. That's enough to get the society known and stuff. Is it true from my research, despite Iran has wasted its money, Iran has spent so much money, not because it's a well-wisher, of course. We all know it's not because some Muslims are really naive. And I can expect this from non-Muslims who don't know our dynamics and our beliefs proper. But some Muslims are really naive. Oh, look what Iran helps Palestine. Even if it was a Muslim Sunni country, we would have a little bit checked out. What are the ahdaf? What are the agenda of this country, that country that is helping Palestine? So then Iran, a Shia country, has no agenda? Or Iran loves the Palestinian people whose name is Umar and Abu Bakr and of course Ali and Uthman and Aisha. Iran loves these people. And Gaza is it correct? Yeah. And the rest of Palestine, like the West Bank, you have a lot of like Almani people, like secular people, more, not all, of course, but many, and more at least. And you have Nasara, Christians. Gaza is almost completely Sunni, is it correct?
Almost 90%.
So here's the question I wanted to ask you. From my experience and research, Palestinians in general, but especially the people of Gaza, I'm not saying anti-Shia, the people as human beings and they hate all Iranians. No. I lived in Jordan. It's full of Palestinians. They respected me more than their own kind. They had no problem with me being Iranian. I was Muslim Sunni. Is it true that Palestinians, especially in Gaza, they detest, dislike Tashayyu'? And they, mashallah, many have like good knowledge. They know it's khurafat and shirkat and kufriyat in the name of Al-Bayt. Is that true?
Of course. If you live in Gaza, it's not good for you to expose your Shia. I will never do it if I'm a Shia to expose myself, because the Tashayyu', look, akhi, the most people in Gaza are Sunnis, 99%. And there are strong religions, Sunnis, Shafi'is.
Yeah, I heard that, yeah.
Yes. And if you come with Tashayyu, they know your khurafat, they know your...
They're Arabic speakers. They watch these channels, they know.
Naam, khurafat and everything, they will absolutely reject you. Because you, in the eyes of the Sunnah, you are a kafir, absolutely a kafir, a mushrik. And every Sunni, if you ask me, how do you think about Shia? Kuffar, mushrikeen, mulhideen, until everything. Yeah, it's very, very anti-Shia in Palestine. And it's well, it's true.
And subhanAllah, that reminds me of, a principle in Islam that based on ayat, that the kuffar, and the disbelievers and the enemies of Islam, like the Iranian regime, again, not all Shia people, I'm talking about the leaders, they spend their wealth on the way of really shaitan, on batil. They're wasting their money. Although, to be fair, I've just recently wrote an article, I don't know if you've read it, about Iran's agenda and the dangerous game that Hamas is playing. Like, for example, in 2014, the Hamas had to crack down on 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗡𝗦. 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗡𝗦 was a group in Gaza, armed. Iran armed them, and Iran tried to create its own, its own like Hamas. Why? Because at least, although the Hamas humiliated themselves a lot by, bowing down towards Iran, the leaders go to Khomeini's grave and put flowers then, a'udhu-billah, and call Qasem Soleimani the butcher of Syrian children and women and man, and from Iraq to Syria, they referred to him, even Ismail Haniyeh referred to him as Shaheed, a'udhu-billah. Despite all this humiliation, at the beginning of the Syrian revolution, the Hamas, they were with the Syrian people, and they were against Bashar. That made Iran so angry. And look how dangerous Iran is, and look how they think we are fools. This is what you can explain more to us now about, because you said you read my article, right?
Your article on Twelver Shiism.
Okay, then I'm going to give no. I wrote a recent article, and I don't want to make this about my article. I want to make this about you. In my article, in my research, I wrote about how in 2014 there was, for example, this 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗡𝗦 group, which was the leader for this. he became Shia. And then the Hamas had to crack down on them because Iran armed them. And there is even Hezbollah and Nubala from Iraq, a Shia militia that is supporting Iran. They work as a charity organization. They roam the streets of Gaza. So Iran has an agenda. So go on. You said that as for the people, the irony, the people of Gaza and Palestine in general, يعني ما يعجبهم. They don't like the Shia? Not at all?
Not at all. But it's like I said, it's like a tradition. There's so many Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah in Gaza, in Palestine, that the Shia is like a virus for them. Like, look, 99% Sunnah, 1 Shia. It's like a virus, they want to destroy them. And that's why, like, my uncle, subhanAllah, he is a Shia, but he don't do the Shia things in the...
in public.
In public, naam. He do it at home, and the things, but never ever would do it in public. If he's on the street, and they say, I'm a Sunni, or I'm Muslim, he would never say he's a Shia. But because...
If you allow... go on.
But because it's like it's a tradition. If you crack the tradition in Palestinian, it's absolutely a catastrophe.
Yeah, they don't accept it. But I think there's another thing. It is beyond tradition from my experience, and it's very similar to Somali people here in the UK and in Africa in general. I don't know if you heard about this. Iran has really failed. Iran has managed in some parts to spread tashayyu. But tashayyu spreads, as I always say, it flourishes where khurafat and bid'ah and shirk already flourish. That's where tashayyu flourishes. So as you see in parts of Nigeria, and I love my Nigerian brothers and sisters, Muslim brothers and sisters, but in parts of it where there's extreme forms of pseudo Sufism. And in Kenya, these parts also extreme forms of quburism, grave worship. Whereas, although in Somalia in parts it exists as well, but overall Somali people are very knowledgeable. They're religious people, and they're strong in Arabic. And now here comes to your people, Palestinians as well. Most Palestinians I met in Germany and in the UK, they're very educated. Like even when I talk to you, like Syrians, really, you're similar. Immediately you said, I study 2 subjects in uni. Has it, subhanAllah. Shami people, especially from my experience, Palestinians and Syrians, sorry to the Lebanese, but the Palestinians and Syrians are very educated, not just worldly wise, but also deen wise. Yani, look how many shuyukh, Palestinian shuyukh, yani, we have, and the knowledge you have about history, about Quds, because they live in the Middle East. And here's now the thing, I want to talk about you. How much, because mashallah, you're fluent in the Arabic language, right? You're fluent, you speak fluently Arabic.
Yes, of course, yes.
Yeah, mashallah, but which is not a given, because there's many who were raised in Europe and they speak their mother tongues like broken at best. So mashallah, is it correct, or can you give us your experience? How much did your mother tongue Arabic help you to go through the weed? Because it's really weed, it's rubbish. All the weed and the shubuhat that the Rafida bring to justify and portray the madhab is madhab Ahlul Bayt. How much did Arabic help you? How did you use the tool of Arabic to, to eventually at least start the process of doing what you call it, research? Because at the beginning you said you were a bit miskeen, naive, you accepted some shubuhat. There must be a point where probably you said, oh no, well, let me do some research. Bismillah.
No. It starts with I read the Quran, the whole Quran, and it was like I found some words that are similar to the Ahadith, but the context is completely different. And I was like, I never read the Quran before I became a Shia, never.
Like never, not, you mean you never read it at all, or it was just like in most Shia culture, it's just reading Abdul Basit, Tilawa, but not like tadabbur, you mean?
No, absolutely.
No tadabbur.
Not researching, nothing. And I asked myself, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us a deen who force you to hate. The deen of the Tashayyu is pure hate in my eyes. How Allah wants us to hate people, to curse, to la'ana, and everything like that. And then I decide for myself, I want the haqq. Now, I want the haqq, and it doesn't matter how much it will cost. I started to read the Quran, and after I finished the Quran, and subhanAllah, I was like Allahu Akbar. The madhab of the Tashayyu, I don't find them in the Quran. There is no dalil of the Tashayyu in the Quran.
Yeah.
Like, let's start from the beginning. The 12 Imams, alayhim as-salam, give me one ayah in the Quran that says follow the A'immah. There is no ayah. Second thing, the curse of the Sahaba to curse Ummahat al-Mu'minun, alayhim as-salam. Nothing in the Quran. In the opposite, the Quran says about Aisha and Hafsa and Surah An-Nur, and
always, sir.
Always, and Ayat al-Tahrim, where Allah say, the Shia use Surah Tahrim to expose Aisha and Hafsa alayhim as-salam, but it doesn't work. Allah say in verse 5, Ya Rasulullah, if you want to divorce, we're gonna change the wives with good wives. And you will never find in the Shia
better wives, yes.
Yes, no, better wives.
And Allah, yes, we agree that Allah can always create better. It's not impossible for Allah, yes. But here's the point now. I know what point you're going to make, but did the Prophet divorce them?
Of course.
Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? No.
Alayhi wa sallam. You will never find in the Shia and in the Sunni sources that Muhammad divorced from Aisha and Hafsa alayhim as-salam. No, never. That's the dalil for me. Was a start for me to say, Aisha and Hafsa is not, maybe I'm not so bad, subhanAllah. And I was starting in the Bukhari and in Sharh al-Bukhari and Muslim. And I was
very important. Sharh, you read the shuruh, the explanations of ahadith, which many non-Arabic speakers till this today I think a lot of stuff is not available. Even if it is, most people do not go this extra mile. They don't do this effort. So you did this. You read, for example, the Sharh of Imam Nawawi to this hadith. For example, Razitul Khamis. Oh, the Prophet wanted to write something down, and based on this, they built their religion and claimed that Umar rejects the Sunnah and whatnot.
Hold on. What you mentioned is the one reason why I started to learn about Umar radiallahu anhu. The Shia showed me the hadith 2010 in Bukhari where he says, نعم البدع وتترويح.
Yeah.
And I just like, it's nothing wrong, Umar said. I read the Sharh and I asked the Shaykh, why Umar said نعم البدع? Did the Prophet say كل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار? Every bid'ah is
a misguidance.
Misguided, every misguidance is in the fire. He said, Umar radiallahu anhu said نعم البدع because he was afraid that the people want to see it as a fard, not as a sunnah.
Yeah. And he said it in the lughawi sense because the action has a foundation in the sunnah, so it can't be bid'ah in the ta'abbudi religious sense, but they don't understand these things. They don't want to go this far. Yeah.
But when you read the context, you will directly notice Umar didn't mean bid'ah in that way. Like Muhammad said, don't make bid'ah. He said, bid'ah, like I said, for people, to warn people, this is not fard. This is a sunnah, not a fard. And if you read a hadith, there is a hadith in 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗏𝗕𝗏. You know that book, 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗏𝗏𝗏?
Yeah, of course, by Imam Nawawi.
No, page 87, hadith 175, where Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, عليكم بسنتي وبسنة خلفائي الراشدين المهديين. If you want to believe what Muhammad said, he said, follow my sunnah of my khulafa. And Muhammad, Abu Bakr, Uthman, Ali was khulafa.
Yeah.
And that was like a second
that what sparked it. It helped you to, on your journey to then leave Tashayyuh. So you did it. So you did a lot of research. You mentioned some things. I want to comment, if you allow me to, on some things. Actually, let me put you on the spot. Let's see how knowledgeable you are. But because brother Nurredin, and subhanAllah, even about myself, akhi, when I left Tashayyuh, which is a long time ago, 2003 winter. And then when I started I was active working online since 2004-ish, 5-ish. But my face was revealed 2016 by this, what shall I say, these basakin who thought that they're exposing me, but they have given me exposure in a good way. I think they regret that they made videos against me. It was to my advantage. Anyways, let me put you on the spot, because you said, for example, in the Quran there is cursing and they curse. Now, because I used to be a Shia like you, now I'm going to bring one of the best arguments for this. I'm going to make this a bit interesting. We want to hear, of course, your life story, and of course, people can learn from you, mashallah.
Sure.
So now you have to be very, very pay attention. I'm playing the role of the devil now, of the Mu'ammam. The Mu'ammamin, ya Nurredin, they say, but what is problem? What's the problem cursing? Allah curses in the Quran. La'inun. Allah says there's the la'inun. Allah mentions la'inun. Yani it's a people who curse. And Allah mentions la'natullahi ala al-kafirin. And the curse of Allah is on the kafirin. And the curse of the malaika. وَالنَّاسِ أَجْمَعِينَ. So what's your problem, ya Wahhabi? What's the problem with cursing? We curse because Allah cursed in Quran. You probably have heard this as well. Yeah. And of course, I know how to respond to this. I want to see your method. It's good that we can learn here as well a bit. It is.
No, Bismillah. When my Shia ex-brothers said to me, Allah cursed the Quran, it's not bad to curse. I said to him, didn't not Imam Ali said, Shia did not know my Shia are not Sabbabin? And then the Prophet said, a Muslim laysa bil-la'an.
Mhm.
The
Yeah, okay,
Prophet
but what
said,
about the ayat? What about the ayat?
it's Allah, it's not we. Allah has special rights, and not we are not like us. But the problem with the Shia is what the Quran says, they think they can do it too. They don't think about Allah. If Allah curse, doesn't matter. You don't have to do it like him because he already do it. No.
Allah also takes oaths by the sun and moon. I remember when I used to be a Rafidi, one of my elders was a few years older than me. 𝗃𝗢𝗧𝗜𝗙𝗘𝗙 who believed in 𝗏𝗪ة and Fana and stuff. He said to me, no problem. You said no problem to take oaths in the name of Ali, Abbas, the broken rib of Fatima, this, that, everything. Panchtan, you know, in Farsi they say Panchtan, yani khams, by the 5 bodies of the Ahl Bayt.
Yeah.
I said, okay, Dalil, what's Dalil? MashaAllah, Tabarakallah, Dalil straight from the Quran. وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا. And then I was young. How old was I? I was like 18. I was like, all right, my elder, وَالشَّمْسِ وَضُحَاهَا وَالتِّينِ وَالزَّيْتُونِ. Later, when I sat with the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, they said to me, that's Allah. Allah is the creator. Allah takes oath by his creation. Allah can even take oath by himself. Aren't you the followers of Ahlul Bayt? Are you not the follower of Sunnah? I said, yes, inshallah. Their Prophet said, Man halafa bi ghayrillah faqad kafar or ashrak. Oh, kafar. Which is not major kufr anyway. We Ahlul Sunnah, we're not takfiris. We look at things in a nuanced way. Al-Muhim, it is definitely haram. So that's one example, brother. So beautiful. That one you answered beautifully. I would add one more thing. I would say Allah curses in general. Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he cursed in Qulud. He mentioned certain man, evil man, the heads of kufr and shirk of Quraysh. In Tashayyu, who is cursed? The heads of kufr and shirk. Is this the asl? Or is it Abu Bakr and Umar, the best friends of the Prophet? Subhanallah. So they bring ayat which are more general. Like, for example, Allah says, La'natullahi ala al-kafirin. And then they say, because of La'natullahi ala al-kafirin, it's now right for me to curse Umar. Ya Zindiq, who said that you can apply this ayah on Umar ibn al-Khattab, who's a believer? Yani, astaghfirullah, even if he wasn't a believer. Yani, ma'adallah, if we say he wasn't a believer. Like Abu Talib to us is not a believer. Do we curse him? Do we curse Abu Talib? Do we ritually curse him? The problem is this, what I say always, brother Nurredin and their viewers. In Tashayyu, it's not like they curse. There is ritualized cursing. They have this. You did this, and I did this, like in Ramadan when they cursed 1,000 times. Who was it? Ibn Muljim. On the 16th of September. When is it? I forgot the day in Ramadan. I don't know him. They cursed 1,000. Yeah. They curse Ibn Muljim. Sunnah of Rasulullah. Ibn Muljim is a mal'oon, no doubt. He's an evil man, no doubt. But is this a Sunnah? Okay, another question. You said that was about cursing, mashallah, good answer. Then you talked about this is very important. This is, of course, is linked to your journey. You said you read a lot of the Quran, right? And the Quran is full of tawheed, calling upon Allah alone. We're going to get to that later. You first mentioned Imama as in the 12 Imams. You said you looked, and there's no ayah for 12 Imams. There's no command telling us follow 12 Imams. Yet, this is like the asl of the deen. Okay, now I'm playing again devil's advocate. Yeah, I'm playing the role of the Imam. And this is their best shot. They don't have much. What do they have? The best ayat they have, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ and so on and so forth. Well, they would say to you, well, the asl of imama is in Quran. That's how they always argue. They say the framework, the asl is in the Quran. The details are in the Sunnah. 𝗏 مِثال, they would say, take this example for the hadith about 12 khulafa. That after the Prophet will be 12 khulafa. Salawat. That's it. So they bring like a tape, and there's this broken something that they call deen, and then they put this all together, and then they say, if I bring this hadith from there and this and down, Bismillah, tafaddalu, he is the clear imama from Quran and Sunnah. So how would you explain this? What about, for example, hadith of the 12 khulafa, and and that the asl of imamah is in the Quran, and with the hadith of 12 khulafa, for example, we can prove the 12 imams.
Okay, Bismillah. First of all, when I was a Shia, and after I
Mhm.
became Sunni, alhamdulillah, again, I asked the Shia, what's the 5 pillars of the Islam? And subhanAllah, they say the wilaya, the salah, the zakat, the hajj, Ramadan, the wilaya. And I read the narration by Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, where he said the most important pillar is the wilaya.
Yeah, nothing has been more emphasized on it than wilaya, which is
Wilaya.
absurd
Yeah.
because it's not in the Quran. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then I asked the Shia scholar in Iraq, I called them. I asked him, Ya Sheikh, when I don't believe in the wilaya, what's my hukum? What's my ajal in the end? He said, you can pray how much you want, you can break your ribs when you pray, but Allah will not accept your prayer. I said, Allahu Akbar. He will not accept my prayer because I don't believe in the wilaya. And I asked him, what is the wilaya? He said to believe in Muhammad al-Baqir, in Ja'far al-Sadiq, and all the 12 imams. But I said to him, Ya Shaykhna, if this is the pillar of the Islam, where are the prophets? He said, and he, Wallahi, Rabbi Ka'bah, he said, the word of the imams are more important than the prophets. I said, Allahu Akbar. And told him, do you have one ayah who proves the 12 imams? Imagine I'm a Christian, I want to convert to Islam.
Mhm.
If I read the Quran, will I ever find the imamah? He said, of course, the ayah what Allah said, فَجَرَ مِنْهُمْ 12 عَيْنًا, and Sayyidina Musa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, تفسير 12 عَيْنًا are the 12 imams. I said,
If you translate it for viewers,
yes.
so they
In the Quran, Allah said, He will explode 12 stones where it can water out from Sayyidina Musa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the Muhammad said, this ayah, why this ayah comes to Muhammad? Someone asked him, Ya Rasulullah, what's the full deen? He told him, the full deen is to believe in imams in the number of the 12 ayat of Musa. Allahu Akbar. They play with the Quran, it's like
Batini tafsir, esoteric
Allah.
Batini tafsir.
Rabbi Ka'bah, akhi, batini tafsir. And sometimes I ask them, are they not scared from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how they play with the Quran? They take an ayah from there and take a daif hadith from there, and a little bit of ghulu here, a little bit of majusiyya, and this is the tafsir. And subhanallah, and then I ask the Shaykh, that if Imam Ali has more knowledge than the Prophets alayhi salatu wasalam, except of Muhammad, why he's not mentioned in the Quran? He said, no, he's mentioned in 300 verses. I said, subhanAllah, give me 300 verses.
They have no shame, yeah. They attribute this to Ibn Abbas in Iran as well. They go to Manabir, they say, Nisful Quran is about Ahlul Bayt. Another one, and then what do they say? Ibn Abbas said. Then they bring you a list of Sunni references. Ibn Abbas said. First of all, even if Ibn Abbas said this, even if, is he ma'soom? Second of all, Ibn Abbas never said this kufr. But this is how they play with the mind of the gullible followers.
And now I started to ask him. I told him, Ya Shaykh, is Imam Ali a'lamu min Musa? Have he more knowledge than Musa?
More knowledgeable, yeah.
He said, of course. I told him, but the asa, the asa of Musa was mentioned in the Quran. Why not Ali? He started to scream and say, you're disrespectful. How you can talk about the Imam like that? I was like, Ya Shaykh, if I want to believe in such a wilaya, such a position of Imam Ali, it has to be mentioned in the Quran if it's one of the pillars of Islam.
Clearly mentioned, yes.
It has to mention. He said, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ وَرَسُولُهُ.
Ayatul Wilaya.
No, وَمُرَاكِعُونَ وَالْخَاتِمِ.
How did you research that one? What did you do about that one? At the beginning, when you heard this shubha, was it for you, mashallah, was it a solid evidence at the early stage of the show? You thought, wow, subhanallah, إِنَّمَا وَلِيُّكُمُ اللَّهُ Suratul Ma'idah, only Allah and His Messenger, and those who give zakah while it's in ruku', they are your wali. So Allah is our Imam. The Prophet is our Imam and Ali. So initially you fell for this. how
نعم
did
نعم
you understood that this is يعني شبهة سخيفة تلاعب
نعم
بالقرآن? They're playing with the Quran. How did you understand?
نعم. First of all, I asked myself, if Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu
Mm.
gave the ring in the salat, this is not zakat, this is sadaqah. First thing, this is not zakat, this is sadaqah. Second of all, if Allah says,
Zakat is not for poor people. Don't give zakat. Poor people, and Ali was poor, so how can he give zakat now? Okay.
And I watched and I read it in the book Ibn Kathir about this area. He said there is a narration about that, but the narration, the
all
authenticity
turuq,
is not.
all turuq are weak.
No, there is the narrator who is a liar, and there is one narrator who is without any sense. He don't make sense in this narration. Narration, I was like, Alhamdulillah, this is not a good dalil.
And you know, there's another point that what's very beautiful. There's a narration. I don't know about its authenticity, but it makes it's considering the siyaq of the ayah, where I think it's also in Siyar A'lam al-Nubala, where Imam Nawawi mentions, he cites a narration of Imam Baqir, I think, that Imam Baqir was asked, that who is Ali not one? He said, Ali minhum, Ali minhum, Ali is from those. Ali said, and it's funny, they become literalists here. They say literally Ali gave, although this is like, it's in the plural, of course. Ali is not, Allah never addressed the Prophet in the plural, and then suddenly he addresses Ali in the plural. And it's not necessary to be understood in a literal sense. And as Ibn Kathir destroyed them on this, as beautifully stated.
No.
All the turuq are weak to this. And it's not because we have problem with the fadail of Ali, correct? Nurredin, did they also brainwash you by saying, Sunnis have no fadail of Ali? How many fadail do we have of Ali bin Abi Talib in Bukhari and in the Sunnah?
Oh, ya Allah, so much. Look, akhi, and that's why I started to look more into Ali alayhi salam. Then the Shia said, Ahl Sunnah hate Ali, Ibn Taymiyyah hates Ali, call Ali kafir. I was like, I want to research that. They say, don't bring a proof. And subhanAllah, my father, barakallah fi, has so many books in my house. He has Minhaj Sunnah for Ibn Taymiyyah, he has Bidayah wa Nihaya, he has so many books. And I started to read Minhaj Sunnah, and yes, he said, وَإِنَّهُمْ مُتَّفِقُونَ عَلَى كُفْرِ عَلِي. But he talks about the Khawarij.
They take these things out of context.
Yes. Or when he said, Ibn Taymiyyah said, Ibn Abdurrahman Mujib was a prayer and read the Quran.
He read the Quran a lot. Yeah.
And killed Ali for the love of the Prophet. But wallah, if you keep reading that, if you keep reading, you will read في زعمه. In his mind, he was doing for the Prophet.
Yeah. No. And he claimed so. No, but and Aslan, the Khawarij were known. They did a lot of worship and they thought they're doing good, but they were evil. So yes, Ibn Muljim didn't consider himself a munafiq. For example, Ibn Salul knew he's a munafiq. Ibn Muljim thought he's a mu'min, taqi, he has wara' and everything, and then he went to kill Ali, and it's wrong. And he will be punished for that. But then I know these games, brother, mashallah, brother Nurredin, they try to demonize what you're trying to say. They try to demonize Ibn Taymiyyah, and especially what I found out at the early stage when I left the Shia, they try to demonize. That's why, look, who are the Sunni scholars and quotation marks, who are the Sunni scholars, the Rafida propagandists, and the scholars have no issue with? It's this Khurafi type of Sunni. Grave worshippers like them, or even if they're not grave worshippers, people who are absolutely ignorant of Rafidism. The moment you bring someone who's knowledgeable, Ibn Taymiyyah, or any contemporary scholar who knows about Rafidism, Wahhabi, and then they demonize it. They're Wahhabis, they hate Ahl Bayt, they're Nasibis, and stuff like that. That's how they try to scare their gullible following. The gullible following, yeah.
Wallahi, I told you, akhi, these people, this Rafida, are scared from the big scholars of the Ahl Sunnah. They're absolutely scared. They tried to put Ibn Taymiyyah in a bad situation. He said, Allah has a body, Allah has that and that. He said, Ali is a kafir. He said that. Astaghfirullah, read the context and we'll understand, inshallah. And the thing is now you as a kid, you're struggling between Sunni and Shia, Sunni Shia. 𝗦𝗦𝗕𝗦𝗧. Now I go deeper in the Quran, because the Quran, like Muhammad said, فيه النور والهدى. He's the guidance, the Quran. And after I nearly finished the Quran, I was like, لا إله إلا الله. You have to know about me, أخي. When I became a Shia, the word Ya Ali Madad was like breathing. When I say like bye-bye, I say Ya Ali Madad. Or thank you, Ya Ali Madad. When I go to the masjid, Ya Ali Madad. The one Allah was not my...
There's one lip service. They do say it here. That was not the asl.
Wallahi. And Allah was not...
It's not the main focus.
Wallahi. And it was in every situation, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad. Ya Abbas, Ya Fatima. Astaghfirullah, shirk, pure shirk. And subhanAllah, akhi, after I read the ayat of the Tawheed in the Quran, it's like I read them the first time. Where Allah said, فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا. Or the first ayah in the Quran, the first ayah in Surah Al-Baqarah. First in Surah Al-Fatiha.
Surah Al-Fatiha.
إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. First ayah.
I know, and then they come with these sakhif arguments that don't you ask your mother for help? Don't you ask your uncle for help? They can't differentiate between the talab of, in dua to a deity, and the talab of adda, the talab of normal daily life, asking someone, can you lend me a pencil? They conflate these to fool the gullible. Otherwise, mashallah, you're right. In Surah Al-Jinn, Allah says, that's why Allah says, do not invoke other with Allah. And that's why I always say, Brother Nurredin and the viewers, all these ayat of Tawheed, do they have a answer? They have some sort of answer. They dilute them. They water them down. That's what they do. They say, yes, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ. All original power comes from Allah. Bi-idhnillah, the Imam can hear billions of calls and hear billions of calls, see billions of things, hear billions of things, respond to billions of things. Bi-idhnillah. Why not? As if bi-idhnillah will cut it. No, it won't cut it. But this clause, you can't just add this clause and then every bid'ah and khurafa and ghulu, just to justify it. Okay, so you say you were like, that's it. You were fully transformed. Like, Ya Ali Madad, help me. Hello, Ya Ali Madad, bye. And then what happened then? So that was your life.
No. And like I said, I read the Quran, I read ayat al-Tawheed, and I wanted to know how I can please someone else instead of Allah, to help me. I mean, of course, Ya Ali alayhi salam, ala rasi Ali. I love Ali. But Ali's dead now. And like Allah said in the Quran, فَلَا تَتَّخِذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَوْلِيَاءً. Maybe. لَا نَعْبُدُهُمْ
But the shuhada alive. No. Sorry to interrupt you, but I want to make it difficult for you. The shuhada alive, they say. What about that? Shuhada alive, they say. Allah says the shuhada alive. Bal ahya.
They had to read the ayah. Allah said, بَلْ أَحْيَاء عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ أَحْيَاء. Not here anymore. خلاص. Here's end. And قضت خلاص. And the problem here is that after I get deeper and deeper into Shia, it starts to get dangerous because I get involved with 𝗏𝗏𝗕𝗦𝗧. They believe the Quran is muhattaf. They hate all the maraja. And I told him, Akhi, how you can say the Quran is muhattaf, faked, like the Bible and like the Torah.
Distorted, yeah.
Yes. And he said, Akhi, there's 2,000 narrations from Imam al-Baqir. I said, astaghfirullah. Isn't it the same Imam Baqir said, if a hadith are against the Quran, against the wall? I was like, Akhi, I was like, subhanAllah, you say Allah make a big mistake. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make a big mistake if he let the Quran get distorted, the Quran. But alhamdulillah, I get out of them. I blocked all of them because I don't want to get so deep in the tashayyu and the wrong tashayyu. And so on. The reason, after I read the ayat al-Tawheed, I was asking the Shia maraja and shuyukh. I was like, Ya Shaykh, Allah say, فَلَا تَدْعُوا مَعَ اللَّهِ أَحَدًا. Why we ask Ali for help? Allah say, وَلَا تَخْذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ. Why we ask Ali for help? Everything. And he's like, Allah said, pray to me with the best wasail. Pray to me with the best
wasila. وَابْتَغُوا إِلَيْهِ الْوَسِيلَةَ. They always misuse this verse. Yes.
Yes. They say the wasila is to Ahlul Bayt. I say, Ya Allah, Ya Shaykh, the wasila is not the Quran and praying. The best wasila to Allah is the Quran and praying. I make dua. He said, no, the qurba of the Ahlul Bayt. I was like, Ya Shaykh, everything in the life is Ahlul Bayt. I mean, I love Ahlul Bayt, but this is ghulu, akhi. Allah, this is ghulu. And so on. The ghulu
Ghulu means extremism, like exaggeration with the exaggerating with personalities, especially with prophets and awliya, like some sects in the name of Tasannun, in the name of Sunnism do, and Shiism. Anyway, yani, that's a hallmark.
And it's like how I should explain to you. Now I bow about the book Tafsir al-Qummi from the Shia.
You started reading the tafsir books. Oh, mashallah. Yeah. Most people don't do this.
Yeah, the tafsir books to understand, to make a similarity between the Sunnah and Shia tafsir in the Quran. I want to look which one makes more sense for me. And wallahi, after I read a couple of surah and compare them with the Shia tafsir, it was like, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. I want to leave the Shia directly. Because look, akhi, everything in the Quran is mentioned, like ayat muhkamat where Allah say in Surah Al-Mutaffifin, كَلَا إِنَّهُمْ عَنْ يَوْمِهِمْ يَوْمِئِذٍ لَمَحْجُوبُونَ. Like we will see Allah, inshallah. In the Tafsir Qummi, you will see Allah's mercy. Or يَوْمِئِذٍ إِلَى رَبِّهِمْ نَاظِرُونَ. You gotta look to Allah. The Shia don't believe we will see Allah in the Jannah. They don't believe.
Oh, that Allah and the Malaika will come. What surah was this? It was, I think, is it Surah Al-Buruj? I'm not sure, but it's in Juz Amma. That when Allah and the Malaika will come, Safa, they say, Rabbuka, the Rabb here is Ali. And then they play around, with Shubahat. They say, technically in Arabic language, Rabbul Bayt means the Lord of the house. Arabs use it. They play around. Rabbul Bayt. So we can call now the Imams a Rabb in certain contexts. But where did the Prophet ﷺ walk around and said to the people, you can call me a Rabb, but in the context of the Arabic language, as in I'm the Rabb of Bayt, I'm the boss of my house, the Lord of my house, they play with they play with the minds of the people, subhanAllah.
Wallahi, akhi. Look, it's like the Shia tafsir is against the Quran, absolutely against the Quran.
Yeah, that's why they believe in Batiniyah and Tahrif, yeah.
صح. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Rahman, رب المشرقين ورب المغربين. رب المشرقين علي and Muhammad, رب المغربين Hassan and Hussein. And I start to get confused. Like how a Shia can still believe in Tashayyu when he reads that. You put a person, Imam or a Sahabi, in the position of Allah, and sometimes more than Allah.
Yeah.
I know there's a narration. I think it's in Bahar al-Anwar, where an Imam, he corrected him. Allah made a mistake, and the Imam corrected him. It's so much in the shirk and so much ghulu, but when they ask them, what's the meaning of this hadith? It's life. But wallah, it's not life.
Yeah, that's the escape route. They always bring that.
It's true. They think you are stupid. Allah, they think you are stupid and say it's daif. But wallah, daif in front of my eyes, sahih.
Brother Nurredin, the problem is some of them have started, because they know how bad the repetition and image is of Tashayyu. They know Tashayyu is now known even in the English language for ghulu, exaggeration, and extremism, and khurafat, shirk, and kufr, all in the name of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. And then what do they try? They say, it's just some ghulat. Some of the turban heads have started to make videos against ghulat. No, we are against ghulu, right? And what people don't understand is, imama is ghulu. And the mainstream ayatollahs, they are ghulat. Today, I was about to finish writing an article. I haven't finished yet. I have here a quote from Sistani. Look what he says. Sistani says, from 𝗏𝗢𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏. who he says there are some people who don't believe Amir al-Mu'minin Ali alayhi salam and other Imams to be God. But they believe that the Imams are the guardians of the affairs, Waliul Amr, Wulatul Amr, and the workers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they are the most beloved and closest to Allah, and hence give rizq to the creation of Allah. And also believe that it is Allah who is the true sustainer. This is similar to the case of the angel of death, being the one who gives death, the angel of rain, sending down rainfall, Prophet Isa, giving life to the dead, with the will and permission of Allah, as has come in the Holy Quran. Having such belief is not kufr. It is not rejection of any essentials of the Shia beliefs. This, Brother Nurredin and their viewers, is not some local Iranian mullah, Iraqi mullah, whatever. This is Ayatollah the chain smoker, 𝗙𝗢𝗧𝗓𝗦𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗙, the teacher of Sistani, 𝗦𝗦𝗦𝗧, one of the most influential scholars of the Shia of the 20th century, who has influenced the religious life of millions of Shi'is. He is telling them, and look at his argument, Sakhif. He says, well, there's no problem to believe that the Imams give rizq. And another Ayatollah also quotes, and I made a video on my channel, Ibn Hussein, where this Ayatollah Iranian Qazwini, he quotes him from his book, from whose book says, who he said, giving rizq, asking them, the Imams, for rizq and dua, asking the Imam for rizq, for madad, help, children, it's all fine. Because, bi'idhnillah, as long as you add the clause, bi'idhnillah, and this is not ghulu. Who he says this is not ghulu. And you look at the maskhara and tala'ub. What is ghulu? Ghulu is not just to believe that he is, I believe, and unfortunately, even in Iranian society, I'm an Iranian, and you were Shia for a while, and I was Shia for a while. In Iranian and Shia society, the bar is set very low, the bar of shirk. Shirk is if you literally believe in another entity other than Allah. And if you literally say Ali is literally Allah. And to the most people, to the layman especially, this is like where shirk starts. Whereas many Ahlul Sunnah laymen, alhamdulillah, they understand shirk doesn't start with literally calling other than Allah, Allah. Shirk starts in Tawheed al-Uluhiyah. Shirk starts if you worship other than Allah, even if you don't call it Allah. So these people, look, they make qiyas with angels, like this 𝗏𝗢𝗍𝗍, qiyas fashil, fallacious qiyas they make with angels, then they add the bi'idhnillah clause, and then they say to their followers, okay, so that's why it's all right. The Imams, why not? Why not? The Imam can hear billions of calls. Why not? What do you mean, why not? Where's the evidence? When did Ja'far al-Sadiq accept this for himself? Taught this, you know? Not even the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you know, and then they bring durood, salawat, or even the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What did he say, Brother Nurredin? He said, your salawat is delivered to me. Subhanallah. He didn't even say, I hear everything. He said, your salawat, it is something specific in a miraculous way, is delivered by an angel to me. Subhanallah. Yani look, takhsis. And as we know, in Sharia, things are tawqifiyah. You have to have evidence in ibadah and in matters of belief. You can't just say, if the Prophet is delivered millions of salawat, then Ali bin Abi Talib and my other favorite buried deity and saint, Pir Fulan, you can also hear millions and billions of distress calls. It's a big con, it's a big, it's a circus sometimes in the name of Ahlul Bayt and Awliya. I've got a question for you, Brother Nurredin. Now, you say that you started as Usuli, then for a time you became like Akhbari, and then you went back again like Usuli, but still you were on the way to leave the Shia. What about these famous books, Brother Nurredin? When I used to be Shia, I used to distribute them. Can you believe this? I used to distribute, hand out Tijani's book, 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗡𝗦, Al-Muraja'at, and Peshawar Nights. And the funny thing is, now I've seen some posts by the English-speaking propagandists. They know deep inside that Tashayyu is batil. They know that their books are sakhif, and they know that the scholars of Al-Sunnah have refuted all books of Tijani. And on mahajja.com, by the way, website, we have the brothers at mahajja.com. I don't know if you know, I need to share with you the link and with the viewers. The brothers at mahajja.com have done tremendous work. They have refuted the books and refutation of all Tijani's books and refutation of Tijani's main books Peshawarites, I think, Murajaat, yes, definitely. And this book, the famous book by Sheikh Nasr al-Ghaffari. You know this one? Your father has this one? Is it this one? Yes, your father has this one? أصول مذهب الشيعة الإمامية الاثنى عشرية عرض والنقد by Dr. Nasr bin Abdullah al-Ghaffari. You know, you should tell your father this one. That's available in English as well. The brothers at Mahajjah, they have translated it. So now the question to you, what about you? Have they given to you and say, look, Peshawarites? I remember when I was like your age, they said to me, oh, I don't know, how many, 1,000 and more Sunni scholars, they were defeated by this Shirazi Iranian Muhammad who went to Peshawar, and Tijani, the ex-Sunni Mufti who turns out to be some Jahil Sufi from the Tijani Tariqa who used to go to Baghdad and seek madad from Abdul Qadir, and then he just changed madad from Abdul Qadir to madad to Ali. What about these books, these propaganda pieces and works? Have you been exposed to those?
Book 𝗃𝐀𝐿𝐷𝗙 from Tijani, I read it, of course.
In German? They give it to you in German?
No, in Arabic, alhamdulillah.
Oh, mashallah. Your Arabic is mashallah, in Arabic. Okay, good.
The problem here is, I was on the way back to Sunnah, and all I read in the book, it was already refuted. Yeah, it's nothing special anymore.
You were not impressed?
Not so much. It was like sometimes yes, but it's
okay. You were advanced, mashallah. You were advanced, because at my stage, when I was a Shia, when I read the book the first time, I think I was 18. I was very impressed. I was an absolute I was the typical Rafidi who just, you know, Shubuhat, Bukhari, Muslim said, Sunni references, Kanzul Ubmal, you know, Dural al-Mansur, you know, and stuff like that. And this guy, Bukhari, this and that. That's it for me. I was like, Sunnism is destroyed. And then when I left Shiism, and then the first time I read the book, there's at least 4 scholars who refuted Tijani, but one of them is 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗏𝗕𝗏's book, where he wiped the floor with Tijani. He completely destroyed him, proved him to be an absolute charlatan. And I said to myself, oh, Hassan, what have you done when you were 18? But I was young. I was young. I needed the money. No, I didn't need the money. I was young. I was gullible. Not everybody who's young is gullible, but that was my destiny. You know, I had to go through this. I had to go through this phase of my life. So you did read those books. What about Murajaat, Peshawarites?
No, absolutely. No, I didn't read that.
Okay, it's not much better.
But what I read was 𝗧𝗨 الشيعة and بحار الأنوار and أصول الشيعة from كشف الغطاء. The book أصول الشيعة وكشف الغطاء, in my opinion, is more against the Shia as for the Shia, because in this book he said, I don't believe in the breaking rule of Fatima because in my eyes this is a khurafa. He said this old book is a Shia scholar. And maybe to give you a example, I was searching for the marriage between Umar ibn Khattab and 𝗃𝗢𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗙. This marriage is like the most dangerous thing in the Shia because the real evidence. And then if you open volume 26 from 𝗧𝗨 الشيعة, page 314, you're gonna see clearly لقد تزوج عمر بن الخطاب 𝗃𝗢𝗧𝗜𝗢𝗏 بنت علي وخلف منه زيد بن الخطاب. والمجلس say صحيح. And I say, you say now, the Imam Ali is a liar because you say this is batil. All Majlisi is not Sahih anymore. Like Majlis is like Albani for us. He make tasheeh, he make tahqiq, and it's Sahih. And I keep reading. And what I found out is in Nahj Balagha, page 329. I have Nahj Balagha at my home, by the way. I read it.
It's not good as well.
I read something. I was like, is that really what Imam Ali said? Because he said, والله ما كانت لي في الخلافة رغبة ولا في الولاية رغبة. He never wants to be Khalifa and a wali. He himself said, I don't want to be a wali. I was like, wait.
How can someone who is appointed from Allah say, and they come with cheap excuses to justify it? Have you seen the have you seen the comments always? Ali's, in most Nahj Balaghas, was it your experience as well? Ali's clear-cut comments are like this long, Yeah, for example, where he advises Umar not to go and fight the Persians, and that Umar's army is the army of Allah. You know, Ali is like against the Persian army this much, and then the comment is this long, and the shara is this long. They try to reinterpret Ali's. No, Ali actually is not really respecting Umar. Ali is this and that. Ali says, I don't want khilafah. No, it actually, people need to come to the Imam and they need to acknowledge his real Imamah. What a maskhara. If someone is appointed by Allah, he has to do his job no matter what the people say. It's like saying the Prophet, okay, I'm not going to do my mission because most of you don't really accept my real position as a prophet.
Wallahi maskhara. And akhi, there are so many things that refute Shias in their own books, like in Bihar al-Anwar, volume, I think 3, page 313. I think it's like that, where Muhammad said, لعن الله من اتخذ قبور أنبيائهم مساجدا.
They have narrations about not exaggerating with graves. Yes.
It's in Bukhari too. Like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Allah cursed those people who use the graves of the prophets as masajid. Now, ya Shia, ya Rafidi, your Imam's grave is a masjid. That means Muhammad, Allah curse you in your own deen. Like you love the Imam, you're a liar. Well, then you don't make your own book. So many things that refute the only Shiism. And like they say, I saw your video where you talked to 𝗙𝗦𝗕𝗏𝗧 about Ibn Saba. The Shia say that he don't exist in our books. Wallahi, I read 5 books of Sahih Shia books where Ibn Saba is mentioned. Where I say he's the founder of the Imam of Ali. He's the one who accepted the wilayah. And
the very least in their books, what is admitted is that he did ghulu, and he did go around and called for bara'ah against Abu Bakr and Umar. That's our point, We don't claim that they are literally following his fiqh. Some of them come with cheap objections, lame objections. They say, where's our fiqh? Where's the book Fiqh of Ibn Saba? We don't have Fiqh of Ibn Saba. They say, we know you don't have Fiqh of Ibn Saba. It's the ruhiyya, the essence, the jawhar of Ibn Saba is in your deen, we say, which is la'an of Sahaba, specifically Abu Bakr and Umar, radhiallahu anhuma, and ghulu with Ali. These two main things from Ibn Saba. I started with Ibn Saba and not with Ahlul Bayt. So from what I've understood is that, alhamdulillah, the Arabic language has helped you a lot. You could do research. What about the scholars? What about scholars and the du'at in Arabic language? What about the likes of, do you know Khalid al-Wasabi and Ahmad al-Khamis, all these legends?
Of course.
Did you know them when you were Shia as well? At the beginning, did you dislike them and say, I don't want to listen to them, they're Nasibi, they're liars? So you knew them even when you became Shia? Okay.
Yes, I became a Shia. I was like...
But you stayed away?
Yes. They are liars, they are kuffar. I was a takfir maker. I had to be a takfir maker. because like Yasser al-Khabith say, من يترضى على أبي بكر فهو مشرك كافر. If you say رضي الله عنه Abu Bakr, say you are kafir. That's why I thought Uthman al-Khamis, Khalid, like he said, Khalid
al-Wasabi,
the Wasabi is a liar, subhanAllah. He's a kafir, everything. But after I started to read about the Sunnah again, I heard about Uthman al-Khamis. I was started listening to Khalid al-Sabi. And I started to listen to 𝗙𝗦𝗕𝗏𝗧. You know 𝗙𝗦𝗕𝗏𝗧?
Yeah.
He listens, subhanAllah. And to Ashraf Gharib, and so many Shia refuters. And what I noticed that the Maraja have no chance against them. No chance against them. I watched the debate between Uthman al-Khamis and the Shia scholar, and wallahi, he destroyed him like a paper. He destroyed him absolutely, and with their own books. Yani, in Bihar al-Anwar, maybe. Where is that? In Bihar al-Anwar, there is a hadith about that the woman don't get anything from the.
Then they don't inherit. They don't inherit. Yes.
Nothing.
In Shia fiqh, women don't inherit. Yes. Yeah. In Sunni fiqh, they do.
I ask myself, yeah, Shaykhna, if the women don't inherit, what's your problem that Fatima didn't get anything from Fadak? What's your problem here now? If in your
what did he say?
and didn't answer. He said, "Yeah, Bunay, this is a big like big knowledge. You have to big knowledge. Yeah, Bunay, this is too complicated. I don't want to answer now." Like,
You know what? You know what they normally do? They start with inheritance. They know they can't prove that based on inheritance. Then they switch to hiba. They say it was a gift. You know that? That's the tactic. They start with inheritance. When you are a knowledgeable Sunni, you destroy them on this. You answer the shubhat from the Quran. But what about Anbiya? They live inheritance. You answer all of this, and you show that the hadith of Abu Bakr is mutawatir. He didn't make up anything. Abu Bakr the Miskin radiallahu anhu, he mentioned something that over 20 Sahaba mentioned. Then they change. Then they bring their own narrations, and they say, whatever. It's hiba. It was a gift. Hiba, a type of gift from the Prophet ﷺ. So it has any way, subhanAllah. So they play around. So, and then, when you finally left then, Tashayu, so there was a stage where you were tired, you did research, you're an Arabic speaker, you read articles in refutation of Shiism, their doubts, their arguments, watched videos, the scholars of Ahl Sunnah, Du'at. So when you left, what did you do? Did you like immediately say Ahmek Bara'a, I disassociate myself from Rafidism, or were you because some people, it's my experience, some people in between, some people they're like Shia reformists, they still want to believe in 12 Imams, although as I always say, the ghulu is not just praying to Ali. that's the climax. That's the peak of the mountain. The amount of what is under, like when you see an iceberg. Have you seen an iceberg where you see bit of it? Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali can't Madad, of course, just like Jesus can't Madad. Ya Ali Madad, and praying to Imams, invoking them, and giving all these divinity to them. That's just the peak of this iceberg. Underwater, the mother of all ghulu is this Imam al-Khurafa and 𝗧𝗨𝗥𝗡𝗦 nonsense. So because many become like Shia reformers, what was it with you? Were you consequent? Did you say, nah, this is a batil religion. I fell for it. I called to it, because you told me that you even made da'wah to Sunnis just like I did. And then you left it? Or what was the case? What was it in your case?
I told myself, if I get enough proofs that the Shiism is batil, I will lift it without thinking about it, without discussion. I will lift it.
I will leave it. You said, I'm going to leave it. That's it. خلاص.
خلاص ما في كلام. I read the Quran, like I said, I read the Shia books, the tafsir of the Shia books, the Sharah, everything. I was like, La ilaha illallah, no, this is not the deen Allah wants me to live in. Because, ya akhi, look, if you ask a Shia, do you really think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give the best person on earth, Muhammad, salawatu rabbi alayhi, a fully cater wife, astaghfirullah? And they say, yes, Nuh and Lut have the same thing. But I say, ya akhi, you say Ali's better than Nuh. Ali, and he has a tahir wife. Muhammad's better than Ali. And think about it, start the thing in here. Let it work a little bit. And they say,
when it comes to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they compare his wives and companions with the worst. I know exactly. Your point is a good point. I remember to me they said, but there's some Anbiya Yawm al-Qiyamah. They will come with no companions. There's some Anbiya, their companions betrayed them. Yeah, but this is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He has the best companions, and he has the best wives, and he has the best family. They don't understand.
And like I said, look, you say Lut and Nuh, but Allah said in the Quran, Ya Lut, Ya Nuh, your wife is bad. And it's clear Allah said, Ya Lut, Ya Nuh, your wife is not good. And never said to Muhammad that.
Yani dalil. Yeah.
Dalil. And Allah makes clear first that the wives of Lut and Nuh are not good wives, are bad wives. That's clear. Read the Quran a little bit, akhi. Why did he not say to Muhammad? The answer of the Shia, like I know them, they said, Muhammad knows that she's a bad wife. Do you know? I said, do you read the Quran really? He said, yes, akhi, of course. But I said, yeah, akhi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said it's haram to marry a bad wife. And who have more knowledge about Islam than Muhammad? No one. If Muhammad knows Aisha alayhi salam is a bad wife, why did he get married with her? Why he still married with her until she died, and he died on her chest. She only.
Brother Nurredin, can I ask you something?
No.
Because you mentioned more than one time that the Prophet ﷺ did not divorce her. Have they told you the pathetic answer that I've never heard any religion that has such a belief? They claim that according to some of the narrations claim that Hussein and Ali, or both, like Ali at Jamal, and then Hussein one more time enforced it even later. Ali 𝗃𝗀𝗧𝗏𝗪. The hatred, because they don't have evidence. The Quran is against them, because the Quran offered all the wives, isn't it? The Quran offered the wives. If you want dunya, the Prophet gonna divorce you and then go. I remember one time a Shia, Lebanese guy, Nurredin, he asked me, he said, doesn't Allah said he can replace you with better wife? Doesn't Allah say better? He thought he has an argument against us, Ahlul Sunnah. I said, Allah, Aisha and Hafsa are human beings. And they're the best wives, we believe. All his wives, Khadija alayhi salam, all of them, they were the best wives. They were human beings, though. They were not perfect, as in they made mistakes as human beings, so they were not prophets. Yes. And yes, Allah can create always something better even than these women. But here's the thing. Did Allah create? Did they choose dunya over akhirah, or did they choose akhirah over dunya? They choose akhirah over dunya, and they did not the Prophet did not divorce them. And this is what is burning the Rafida scholars. And because they have no evidence from the Quran nor the Sahih Sunnah, so what do they resort to? They go back to the khurafat, to the fabrications, all lies attributed to Al-Bayt, and say Ali divorced Fatima after the demise of the Prophet at Jamal or something. Of course, it's maskhara. It's another deen akhar. So you Palestinian Lebanese, brother, Christian, as a Palestinian Lebanese, there's not every day these people going to have someone who's Palestinian Lebanese, fluent in Arabic, young, university, studies language in Arabic. Losing someone like you, Allahumma barik, I mean, they can say whatever they want because we don't care. Who's a jahil. I don't care what they say. They want people like you. So when you left them, what was the reaction when you left that sect? And
after I left the Shia, until today, there's so many Shias said, brother, come back to us and do that and that. Here's some ahadith. Look what Aisha did. Aisha is a fully 𝗃𝗀𝗟𝗡𝗦𝗧, and Aisha gave milk to make 𝗪𝗦𝗦𝗧 to kibar.
Yeah, to breastfeed. Yeah.
Should breastfeed to adult men. This shubha and everything. I told him, alhamdulillah, Allah guided me. He said, come back to the real Islam, to the real of the Ahlul Bayt, because no one's better than the Ahlul Bayt and everything. And the funny thing is, one time there is a big Shia scholar come to me. He said, Ya akhi, why do you left us? I said, Ya Shaykh, al-Quran. The Quran let me to left you. And I know I exposed your lies against Ahlul Bayt and against the Sahaba radiallahu anhum. And then he said, we need lions like you. Allahu Akbar. And you want to get me back because you're weak without me? I mean, I'm nothing. Wallahi, my knowledge is just like that. But the fact that I am young and can refute people is a gift for them. But I said, well,
yeah, and confused like the average jahil, the average like Sunni who has not much knowledge about Tashayyu, just like the average Sunni has not much knowledge about Qadianism. It's normal. The majority always knows less about the minority than vice versa. The minority is in the defense and knows more about the majority. So they knew that they can use you well. You could be in their service if you stayed with them.
No, but I said, Wallahi, I don't get back to you. Because wallahi, if I came back to the Tashayyu, I don't want to live. I told him like that, this is not a life Allah wants me to live then. And then I asked him one question, and then I left him. I blocked him on Instagram, on TikTok, on WhatsApp, everywhere. Until today, akhi, sometimes he gets new number to text me. And I said to him, Ya akhi, one question answer. Did you think Imam Ali were proud of you if he sees you now? Did you think Imam Ali would say, this is my Shia, who curse, who beat up themselves, who make ghulu? Do you think Imam Ali will be proud of you? And wallahi, until today, 1 year later, still not the answer.
They know deep inside. They know that's why they try to portray us, and they did try with you when you left them, and Al-Sunnah in general, as Wahhabis, Nasibis. In the past, brother Nurredin in Iran, my mother told me that they literally thought that Sunnis hate Ahlul Bayt. But the Shia clergy changed in Iran, because the Sunnis in Iran live in the border regions, and many of them live now in larger cities. So it's a bit mixed in Iran. Not as mixed as in Iraq, Sunnis and Shia, but more mixed than like 40 years ago. So now that the Shia clergy in Iran, they can't sell the lie anymore that Sunnis hate Ahlul Bayt. They can't. So you know what their new, and you know better, of course you know, the new strategy is not to say Sunnis hate Ahlul Bayt. Some of them do, as you said, but many of them, those who try to be a bit more moderate, they say, no, they don't hate the Ahlul Bayt, but they love the enemies of Ahlul Bayt. Very khabith. So they say, yeah, no, Sunnis love Ahlul Bayt, but they also love the enemies. And who's the enemy of Ahlul Bayt? The closest companions of the Prophet. Yes. His wife and so on. And why is, for example, his wife Aslan is from Ahlul Bayt, Aisha radiallahu anha. She is from Ahlul Bayt because she was involved in a conflict with the cousin of the Prophet, something that ended. They made peace. Khalas, neither Ali turned that event into a religion and ritualized cursing. Even the case of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, Hassan gave bay'ah, things ended, that's it. Ali and Al-Hassan and Ahlul Bayt are God knows how much more superior than Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. Hassan and Ali bin Abi Talib radiallahu anhuma. But it doesn't mean that we take Muawiyah or anybody in this conflict as a target of ritualized cursing and make a deen out of it. And that's what you're telling us, akhi. You have to thank Allah, subhanAllah, that you could have was there a time, was there a time where you thought that, you know what, I'm just going to stay, you know, I already became Shia and I've got all these friends now and we chat and I cursed so much. Let me just stay. Because Shaitan try it on you to say that, let's just stay. There's answers for, you know, these Wahhabi doubts. Was there?
Yes, nah. There was a time in my life I was like, I have so many Shia friends and it feels so right and so. But after I think, like I said, after I researched, I was like, I'm already in the Tashayyu. Sorry, because I don't want them to misuse your words, because English is not your native language. Earlier you said it felt wrong. Now you said it felt so right. What do you mean here with right? Right as in, it's easier to just stay. You mean in that sense, right? It's just easier to just keep doing, go with the flow, keep doing what others, my friends are doing as well. No. To feel right, I mean it to, like you said, to stay there with the flow because they are my friends and they are them. But actually, like I said, after my research, I was like, stop, I don't give any fuck to my friends. I want to the haq now. And after like I said, I made the research about Omar, Uthman, Abu Bakr, Aisha, Hafsa, the Quran, the Tafsir, all the whole thing. I was like, I don't want you as my friend because you lied to me. You never said the truth. Everything you said is a lie. Everything is a ghulu. And wallahi, I was like, I feel like I was betrayed by the Shia.
Betrayed, yeah.
Yes, wallahi, like, why do you keep the haq from the people?
Why do you sell this garbage and this rubbish and these khurafat? Why do you sell it to the gullible, to the weak-minded, as the madhab of Ahlul Bayt? Wallahi, it's not the madhab of Ahlul Bayt. Brother Nurredin, we are reaching 1.5 hours. There's one last thing, a request or question I have actually. But first of all, I wanted to applaud you and those who are watching, because guys, as I always say, the amount of ex-Shias who become Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah, I met here in London alone. Many of them have legit excuses why they don't want to come out, why they don't want to show their face. Many have, but some don't. And this brother, when I asked him, are you ready to make an interview with me about your story? He said, yes, sure, why not? I said, would you show your face? He said, sure, why not? I was surprised. Why? Because from my not so positive experience, again, many have legit excuses, but some don't. I applaud this brother, and we should take him as an example. Nothing is going to happen to him. Allah is our Mawla. Allah is our Mawla. And this brother, yes, he lives in Germany, studies in Germany. What did he say? Did he say that all Shia people are kuffar? No. Did he say that all of them are evil people and all of them we have to fight them? No, he didn't say that. On the contrary, and we are not Ahlul Taqiyya. These people think we are scared of them. Wallahi, we say what is on our hearts, wallahi. If I believe that Daesh, imagine Daesh, Khawarij, Maj'aneen, wallahi, if Daesh was on haqq, I would say it. I don't care. I'll go. One time I said to my father, I'm a man of principles. What I believe, I say. And if that takes me to prison, I will go to prison. No problem. No. We condemn the likes, for example, of extremists like Khawarij, like Daesh, because we believe they're not just Daesh, others who bomb around and stab random people on the street. Or, these are not the only extremists, of course. Also those in the name of Ahl Bayt. Shia death squads, militias, backing Bashar al-Assad, 𝗃𝗀𝗃𝗦𝗃𝗃𝗕𝗦𝗧 the mal'oon. You know, he's a terrorist to us as well. So, what has someone like you, what is the crime that someone like you has committed now, Nurredin? It's all right. They can see us upon falsehood. They can see us as victims of Umayyad Sunnism. Yes, we see them as victims, clear cut, of ghulu in the name of Ahl Bayt, and we wish for Shia people and for all misguided people the best, which is Hidayah, which is Islam. Even for Khamenei, for Trump and Khamenei, both Khamenei and Trump, we wish Islam. If they're worthy, they will be guided. But my last question before we finish is this, Brother Nurredin. And again, I applaud you and I say this is really brave of you and people should take you as an example. Nothing will happen to your life if you show your face, or at least without your face, your voice. Come on, be brave. Allah will protect you. You know, this is da'wah. We live one time. Be brave. Be brave. Don't be reckless. No, I'm not saying be reckless. Don't do stupid things. But what this brother is doing, this young, educated brother, there's nothing wrong with it. Brother Nurredin, last thing, I leave you to speak and give a message also to Shias. As far as I know, I discussed with you, you know that I can't be bothered. I looked in the German scene. The Shias, they have some dead channels. I'm not going to even mention the names. It's like dead. There's like some dead channels. I mean, it's not much better in English language. Their channels are not very big, but at least English is the lingua franca now. Yeah, English is the lingua franca. It's a word language now. So of course we focus on English, and we don't have the means. We don't have the manpower. We don't have the resources to do. Some people ask us, "Can you do Urdu? Can you do Italian? Can you do German? Can you do Dutch?" We can't at this stage. We don't have the manpower, resources, money. We don't have any of that. We do everything in English and people can translate. But you, mashallah, that surprised me even more. You said that, in fact, not just that you left the Shia, now you with a friend want to start your own project, or have already started, I think, and a platform on YouTube, and you want to refute their shubhat in German language. If you elaborate a little bit more on that, and then a message to the Shia people, Sunni people, Muslim people, non-Muslim people as well. هذا أنا شكرا جزيلا. الله يحييك. جزاكم الله خير. And لك المايك.
بارك الله فيك. أول شيء, first of all, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Yes, it's true. Me and my brother will start a YouTube channel to refute the Shiism from an ex-Shia and from a knowledge brother. He has so many knowledge about the Orthodoxism because
in German language, yeah, important, yeah.
In German, Africa, of course, German. Because my brother never lost a debate against the Shiism. Rafida.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to make this channel to open the eyes of the young Shia, because two of my brothers, alhamdulillah, they become from Shia to Sunnah,
Oh,
both 16 years old. And we have a sister now, alhamdulillah, she accepted the Sunnism a week ago, alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah.
And this
All
just
from
start,
Germany, all ex-Shias.
all.
MashaAllah,
And
MashaAllah.
this
Allahumma barik.
Allahumma. And this gave us a push to say, if we can't do it just with talking, what's about the channel? So everyone can from the whole world in Germany look onto a channel. And this is why we start the project. We opened the channel, inshallah. The first video will coming soon about who we are, what are we doing now. And بإذن الله Allah وفقنا inshallah. We're gonna make a refutism to every shubha the Shia have against us. Like Qisl al-Bil'ad, the Tahdid of Fatima, like the burning of the
burning house.
Every shubha. And بإذن الله تعالى, I have so many brothers who are in the anti-Rawafidism and make so many videos on refuting, and we want to start with them inshallah, make a group. Like 5-6 people will inshallah make a group, want to upload a video every second day to refute the Shiism. And there is a secret project. We're gonna write a book inshallah, whose name was called 𝗃𝐃𝐇, but we're gonna plan this book inshallah. If the YouTube channel glows up, we're gonna announce that book. I want inshallah. Don't sell it. We're gonna make it as app first thing, and if Allah وفقنا, we want a really book. We have in Arabic, and English, and German, inshallah. And a message to all the Shia, to the young Shia here. Ya Ikhwan, oh brothers and sisters, think about your deen. Think about your akhirah. Is this really a deen? Who Allah wants you to live in? Who curse? Who will make ghulu? Who goes into shirk? And Ya Ikhwan, read the Quran. If you want the haqq, read the Quran. And read with an open heart. Don't use the tafsir, don't use anything. Read it like someone who converts to Islam new. Because someone who converts to Islam doesn't think about tafsir, he don't know what tafsir is. If he reads the Quran,
it should be clear. Yeah.
Wallah, it should be clear. And now, ya akhi, ya ukhti, ya Shia, ya Rafidiyya. My brothers and sisters.
Don't say Rafidi here. Let's use what, let's.
Ya Ikhwan, ya Shia, ya Ikhwan. اتقوا inshallah. And I don't mean it, I don't try to be mean. اتقوا يعني. I say, when I ask my brothers and sisters after they left the Shiism, what do you lose after you left the Shiism? And he said, well, bil-Kaaba, I didn't lose anything. I just won love. Just won the haqq, the peace in my heart. Now I can say I'm a Muslim. Before I became a Sunni, he said, I was a Muslim, na'am, but it doesn't feel like that to be a Muslim. Now I become a real Muslim, someone who...
Before I was a Shia, you mean? When he said, before I was a Imamite, he said.
And then he said, my heart is absolutely in peace now. And he said, when I pray now, it doesn't feel like something wrong, because, my brother is the type of Shia who called Ya Fatima in the prayer. Ya Fatima, what this khurafa.
Oh, sorry. Yani when he then became Sunni, he felt like, tranquility, real spirituality, real Islam, to be upon real Islam.
And he said to me, Ya akhi Nurredin, may Allah please with you until Yawm al-Akhirah.
Amen.
And this gives, alhamdulillah, this gives me a push to say I want to bring more people to the haqq, because like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. And bring the haqq to the people. Don't make taqiyya. Don't make the taqiyya and hide the haqq and تظهر الباطل, show the batil. Why, ya akhwan? Is the haqq not the beautiful thing that you see, show the people, inshallah, the haqq? And after he converted to the Ahlul Sunnah, he said to me, Wallahi, akhi, now I feel Tawheed. Now I feel the Tawheed. Before I became Sunni, I didn't feel any Tawheed. Everything he has asked for Imam, Ya Abbas, Ya Ali, Ya Abbas, Ya Ali. And to give you an example, there is a story I heard from a sheikh. He refuted Shia too. I asked him, what was your strangest story about the refutism of the Shia? He said one day, he has a friend, the sheikh. He has a guy who cleans his car. The guy is a Shiite. And one day the car was not cleaned. The sheikh goes to this person. He said, did you clean the car? He said, yes, wallahi, I did it. He said, don't swear. The car is not washed. He said, no, wallahi, I washed the car. He said, don't swear. And then the sheikh make a trick. He said, 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗏𝗧𝗏𝗏, did you wash the car? He said, no, I didn't wash the car. He said, Allahu Akbar, ya akhwan. And the sheikh said, 𝗦𝗨𝗕𝗏𝗧, he didn't wash the car.
You have 1 more minute, Sheikh. You have 1 more minute.
He said, ya akhi, why did you swear in the name of Allah in the batil, but not in the name of Abbas? And wallahi, what did he say? He said that Allah forgives, but Abbas don't forgive. He said, subhanallah, ya akhwan. They're more scared of the Ummah. They're more scared of the Ummah on Abbas than Muhammad, than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Imam-centric instead of Allah-centric is an Imam-centric religion.
Wallahi.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakallah khair, Brother Nurredin. Brothers and sisters, this was Brother Nurredin, Palestinian, Lebanese, Sunni-born, who turned Shia, who called to Shiism, fluent Arabic speaker. But alhamdulillah, this Arabic language and his closeness to the Quran saved him from this 𝗃𝐃𝐇 and musibah, this disaster and catastrophe that is sold to the gullible and the weak-minded and the ignoramuses as the madhab of Ahlul Bayt. Wallahi thumma wallahi, never ever will we accept that Imamism is the madhab of Ahlul Bayt. That itself is an insult to us. We have the right to refute, to call to what we believe is the haqq. I applaud you, Nurredin, for you being brave, showing your face, telling your story. People like you, Nurredin, I don't want to make this a 2-hour session. People like you, I met a number of Sunnis like you, who either were of a hardcore like Sufi background or like not much knowledgeable, and then they fell for tashayyuh. Many of them just stayed. And then they became worse. They became even only worse. Yeah. So there is much khair in you, and we know there's so much khair in the people of Gaza, and that's why Iran is failing so hard to convert you people. Barakallahu feek, wa jazakallahu khair. I hope, brothers and sisters, you enjoyed it. I know I'm not the most professional interviewer. I try my best, and I hope you enjoyed it. And inshallah, there will come. Inshallah, others will be encouraged by you, Nurredin. Other ex-Shias. I told you guys the amount of them I know in London alone, but who are reluctant. And it's time to come forward from all corners of the world, not just Iran and Iraq. Inshallah, your likes, you're the new generation. Alhamdulillah. You people. By the way, you remind me of something one Nigerian brother says. He said in Nigeria, many of these Sufis who fell for tashayyuh, many of them are coming back because books have been translated. You know, at the beginning, the revolution of Iran, politics, the Zindiq Zakzaki, whoever the leader, many of them are waking up. Alhamdulillah. Tashayyuh it looks, the shi'ar is sweet. And Ahlul Bayt, but it's poisonous. Inside poisonous. Allah, it's poisonous. And we will not stop until we breathe, until we stop breathing. Until we stop breathing, we will call to the truth, we will call to Tawheed and warn against bid'ah and dalala and zandaqah, especially if this bid'ah and zandaqah is done in the name of the awliya, like the Ahlul Bayt. Alayhim as-salam wa salamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.